Hi everyone, if you've been here in Dijon recently, you probably noticed these posters all over the city. They're celebrating something pretty exciting. Dijon was just named the best medium-sized city in France. According to the latest Arthur Loyd attractiveness barometer, Dijon took first place in the intermediate metropolis category of cities with between 3 and 500,000 residents. As someone who's called Dijon home for almost 17 years, I thought it would be interesting to dive into what these rankings actually mean and see if the experts uncovered any extra great things about Dijon that I didn't consider when I made my video a few months ago in which I discussed my perceptions of the pros and cons of living in Dijon. If you haven't seen my original video, here are a few of the things that I mentioned, but there are more, so if you haven't seen it already, you should definitely check it out. For the pros, I talked about the fact that, for one thing, Dijon is a very manageable size, so it's very easy to get around on foot, by bike, or by public transportation. Also, it's generally very safe. There's a very rich food culture here, so we have access to fresh local food, which is quite affordable, and even the excellent restaurants are relatively affordable as well. We are in the heart of the world-renowned wine region, Burgundy. It's a very family-friendly city with many activities and events for kids, and the schools here are also quite good. And there are good healthcare options as well. And there's a vibrant cultural scene. For example, we have an opera house, a theater downtown, free art museums, lots of public concerts and different types of events, and really a strategic location in a sense that you can get to most major cities by direct trains. For example, Paris, Lyon, Marseille, and Zurich. There are direct trains from Dijon to those cities. And also we're in a kind of strategic location in that we're close to the mountains for skiing and not too far from the Mediterranean coast if you want to head down to the south, or even up to Normandy, for example, or into Germany or Switzerland. It's kind of a good strategic location as well in Dijon. And things that frustrate me about living in Dijon, for one thing, I think the bike infrastructure leaves a lot to be desired. It's okay, I suppose, but it definitely could be much, much better. And as a biker, this is something that I struggle with every day. And the fact that there are no direct trains to the airport in Paris, Charles de Gaulle, is very annoying because we used to have train service that was direct between Dijon and the airport. And the line exists, and for some reason it hasn't been running for the past 5 years or so, although there are rumors that the train service may start up again between the airport and Charles de Gaulle. I don't necessarily need to use this train very frequently myself, but when we do need to get to the airport at Charles de Gaulle, it just makes it really complicated. And then for other people as well, people traveling for work or pleasure who want to come to Dijon, it just makes it trickier for them. Although there's access to other international airports from Dijon as well, and you can get to Charles de Gaulle. It's not impossible. It's just not as convenient as it used to be. And the weather in Dijon is less than optimal at times. Right now it's starting to get nice. It's spring. It's starting to be sunnier and warmer, and it's really, really lovely, and everyone's happy to be outside. But we just lived through a pretty long, sad, gray, gloomy, damp winter, maybe even worse than usual. And so that lack of sunshine and the sort of grayness can definitely have an effect on you. And I don't think that every city in France is the same. I think there are probably places where the weather is much nicer. And despite the fact that we have access to decent healthcare here, sometimes it can be tricky to get an appointment with a specialist, or just takes a long time. For example, it's April now, and I called yesterday to make an appointment with my dermatologist, and the first available appointment was for September 15th. And it's okay. It's nothing urgent, and I can wait. It's just for a checkup. And granted, I guess I could call around and see if I could get an appointment faster. If it really were necessary, I could probably have told the person on the other end of the phone that I really needed to see the doctor faster, but it's just kind of a routine checkup, so it's no big deal. But I do have to wait now for 5 months for my appointment, which seems to be longer than the national average, which is apparently 36 days, according to this information that I found online. So the Arthur Loyd report definitely mentioned some of these elements that I mentioned in my video as well, but there are also some other things that it uncovered that I hadn't even considered. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, what is this report? Arthur Loyd is a French real estate company that specializes in commercial real estate like offices, shops, and warehouses. This report that they put out, called the Attractiveness Barometer, is meant to compare and evaluate cities across France. The metropolises are divided up by size. So there are the largest metropolises that have more than 1 million residents. There are the large metropolises that have between 500,000 and 1 million residents. And then there are the mid-sized metropolises and Dijon falls into that category with between 300,000 and 500,000 residents. And then there are the they don't call them metropolises, but the average sized metropolitan areas, I guess, of between 100,000 and 300,000 people. Dijon is in the mid-sized category with cities of similar sizes like Caen, Angers, Orléans, Brest, Reims, Metz, Nîmes, Saint-Étienne, Le Havre, Amiens, Le Mans, Valenciennes, Avignon, Lens, and Limoges. Sharing the podium with Dijon, which was number 1, was Caen at number 2 and Angers at number 3. According to the methodology section of the report, it measures 75 different indicators grouped into 4 main themes: vitalité économique, or economic vitality, accueil des entreprises et immobilier professionnel, which covers business reception and commercial real estate, connectivité, capital humain, et transition, examining connectivity, human capital, innovation and transitions, qualité de vie, or quality of life, which includes the environment and climate risks, urban amenities, higher education, health and safety, and cost of housing. As you can see, these criteria are quite different than the criteria that I judged as being important when I did my video about the pros and cons of Dijon. There is some overlap, obviously, but there are also more economic and business factors that are involved here. It's interesting to note that they're not using the word city, in fact. They're not even using the word metropolis as the official term. In fact, they are measuring what they call aire d'attraction. So an aire d'attraction represents the zone of influence of a city over its surrounding areas and consists of, 1, a central pôle, which is usually the densely populated urban municipality that provides a significant number of jobs, and also includes 2, a surrounding area, the couronne, or the crown, which are municipalities where a substantial portion of the resident working population commutes to the central pole for employment, so the suburbs, basically. This concept helps economists and urban planners understand how cities exert economic influence beyond their administrative boundaries. The city of Dijon itself has a population of about 160,000, but when the surrounding area is taken into account, this is what must get it above the 300,000 threshold and into this particular category of metropolis. But what is frustrating is that the report doesn't provide more information about what these 75 indicators are exactly. So when I tried to decipher the results, sometimes it's not clear to me how they calculated them. They cite official sources of the data they used, public sources, and reliable professional sources. And they mention that they got outside help to settle on the methodology in order to try to maintain neutrality, but it's all a bit vague. And they don't tell us whether or not the differences in scores are statistically significant. So, for example, Dijon scored 0.554 compared to Caen, which scored 0.514. Is that a big difference? Is that a small difference? Is it statistically significant? I couldn't tell. Anyway, let's take a look at the report and see what it said about Dijon in terms of both strengths and weaknesses. So in the report, we see how Dijon ranked in each of the 4 categories compared to similarly sized cities. And then we have this page, which provides a text, so it gives us some more context, and then also shows us how Dijon ranks in different subcategories for each of the categories. And Dijon is symbolized by this graphic interpretation of the facade of Notre Dame de Dijon, which is an emblematic Gothic church from the 13th century situated in Dijon's historic city center. So in terms of the first category, vitalité économique, Dijon ranked 8th. The text specifically mentions that there's a large pool of big companies here, and Dijon apparently ranks 2nd in economic resources when you look at the icons. And in terms of resilience and economic growth, Dijon is ranked 15th. So hence the 8th place finish in this category, I suppose. But I don't exactly know what these are referring to. Like I said, some of these measures are a bit vague. In terms of accueil des entreprises et immobilier professionnel, business reception, and commercial real estate, Dijon ranked 1st. And the text specifically mentions strong indicators for professional real estate with active demand for office space, which they say is relatively affordable. The report also mentions the fact that there's a lot of new office space in Dijon. And when I read that, I immediately thought of Valmy. It's not the only place where they are building more office space in Dijon, but there is a concentration of new development in this one neighborhood. And it's kind of on the outskirts of Dijon. It is accessible by the tram. So I decided yesterday to hop on the tram and go get some footage of the Valmy area just so I could show you, because I think you'll be really surprised compared to the images of Dijon that I usually feature on this channel of the historic city center. You might be surprised to see that there's like a brand new neighborhood basically on the outskirts of town. So there are hotels, restaurants, banks, offices. There are medical facilities and at least one retirement home as well out there. I guess it speaks to the wide range of different types of architecture that we have here in Dijon. You can go from admiring a 13th century Gothic church and get on the tram and take it out to Valmy, where you're surrounded by these brand new modern office buildings. And the report also mentioned the variety of co-working spaces that we have here in Dijon. I noticed one when I was on the tram yesterday in Valmy, and there are a few here that I shot downtown, but there are even more. So there is a wide variety of different types of co-working spaces in Dijon as well. And then if you look down here at the icons, you can see that Dijon was ranked first for performance of the professional real estate market, and sixth for welcoming companies and how much it costs to set up shop here. So in terms of these first two categories, which are really business and commercial real estate focused, obviously these things were really not on my radar when I was thinking about the pros and cons of living in Dijon. One negative thing that they did mention in the second category was that apparently there's not enough supply of logistics real estate in Dijon. So I, of course, had no idea, but maybe that's a business opportunity for someone out there watching this video. And then in terms of the third category, connectivité, capital humain, et transition, connectivity, human capital, and transitions, Dijon ranked second. For this category, the report specifically points out strong demographic growth, especially among 15 to 29-year-olds, including attractiveness to students and new talent. Dijon places fifth in that category. Dijon's international mobility is critiqued, and the icon shows that Dijon ranked 13th in this particular category. I'm not really sure what this is referring to. In the little blurb, they mention encouraging exchanges for secondary school students. Being a foreigner myself living in Dijon, I would have never guessed that Dijon was below par in this category, but and also I often have the opportunity to meet people who are here for work or for pleasure, but I guess maybe just comparatively Dijon doesn't perform as well as its rivals. And then seventh in innovation and the green transition. And the text criticizes the department for not investing more. But my impression is that the city itself is making a concerted effort, notably with a recent tree planting campaign and the installation of these new composters pretty much everywhere all over the city. In terms of national transportation and electric charging, Dijon ranks second. And the report in the text, it says that it's easy to connect rapidly with the main metropolitan areas of eastern France. I confirm that's true. But there's no indication or any other information about electric charging stations. I have an electric bicycle, but I don't have an electric car, so I don't have any personal experience with this particular metric. And in the final subcategory, we have mobilité locale, local public transportation, and mobilité douce, which is sustainable mobility. Dijon actually finishes in second place, which is really surprising because as someone who has to use their bicycle on a regular basis here in Dijon and who is often complaining about the flaws of the bicycle infrastructure here, I can't believe that Dijon finished in second place. And I'm afraid that that just says something about the bicycle infrastructure in our competitor cities. I don't know. I've never ridden a bike in those other places, but let me know in the comments below if you're a biker in one of our rival cities and how it is there. And then finally, when it comes to the last category, qualité de vie, quality of life, Dijon tied with Caen for first place. The text specifically mentions urban amenities, and the first thing that popped into my mind was our little free shuttle bus to Via City. I'm not sure if that's what they were thinking of when they were tabulating these results. Again, it's just not quite really very clear. Access to healthcare historic and gastronomic heritage enhanced by the 2022 inauguration of the International City of Gastronomy and Wine. Yeah, it's a nice place. It really is. But unfortunately, there's been some local press coverage lately that some of the restaurants are struggling financially. So I don't know what the future holds for the Cité de la Gastronomie. I guess we'll see. The report also mentions strong university offerings, and it's true, there is quite a wide variety of different options in terms of higher education here in Dijon. And in the last sentence of the report, they mentioned that the area around Dijon is particularly vulnerable to climate change, and that you can see that in the 10th place finish in environnement and risque climatique, environment and climate risks. I suppose this is a reference to the fact that the wine industry could be really impacted by global warming. But again, it's not exactly clear from the report what they're referring to. And the report also mentions the high cost of housing here. And in fact, Dijon finished in 13th place in this subcategory. And the report also says that the high cost of housing here could dissuade people from coming and moving here. But despite the climate risks and the high cost of housing, I do truly believe that Dijon is quite a pleasant place to live for the reasons mentioned in this report, but also the reasons that I mentioned in my original video as well, and probably for more reasons that we haven't even touched on yet as well. When I made my video about the pros and cons of living in Dijon, I focused on my day-to-day experiences. The food scene, cultural offerings, the manageable size, making it really easy to get around. This report, however, takes a more business-oriented approach. They're looking at Dijon as a place where companies might want to set up shop, asking questions like, is there enough office space? Can executives enjoy a good quality of life? Is the city well connected to other business hubs? And it makes sense when you think about it. Arthur Loyd is a commercial real estate company, so they're evaluating cities through that lens. When you scroll through Arthur Loyd's listings, there's not a residential property in sight. But it's interesting to see that many of their criteria also align with what makes a city just generally a great place to live. One last thing I was wondering about this report, though, is if it's possible to take a city's score in a sense and compare it to bigger or smaller cities, because Dijon scored 0.554. Only 2 cities in France scored higher. Toulouse in the largest city category and Rennes in the big city category. And for Dijon, I think that's kind of crazy and impressive. So there you have it, a look at why Dijon was named the best medium-sized metropolis by these commercial real estate experts. I don't generally like calling one place the best because I'm sure that these other cities are also quite pleasant as well. But in the end, after all the tabulations were done, Dijon did mathematically finish on top. We do still have questions about how exactly these scores were calculated, but the fact remains, Dijon finished first in its category. Personally, I wound up in Dijon totally randomly. My husband happens to be from here, and so he has his family ties here, and we also have our friends and our professional networks as well that are quite well established here, so we're not going anywhere for the moment. But it is kind of nice to know that the place where I live stacks up relatively well compared to the competition. Maybe Dijon would have been the place that I would have chosen anyway if I actually had done some research and intentionally chosen the place where I settled down. Whether you're considering a move to France, just thinking about visiting, or just curious about how cities are evaluated, I hope this gives you some insight, even if it's just to consider the criteria that's really important to you. And if Dijon is on your list, maybe this will reassure you, or maybe it will motivate you to check out some other cities that are almost as good as Dijon. And I know I really focused on the medium-sized metropolis because that was the category that Dijon was in. But if you're interested in more information about how larger and smaller metropolises scored, you can check out the report, which I will link to in the video description below. And be sure to subscribe because I'm working on an upcoming video in which I'm going to take you on a tour of several of Dijon's neighborhoods. Several viewers have asked me for that, and it's coming, I promise. If you want more information about Dijon, you can check out my playlist here. As always, drop your comments or questions about life in France or Dijon in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and until the next time, à bientôt!